4 ways how kindness will ruin your life. Hey there. Ever feel like you're pouring every ounce of yourself into everyone else's problems, only to find your own tanks running on fumes? Like you're the one everyone calls when life gets messy. Friend needs advice, co-workers in a pinch, family's got drama, but when you need a hand, it's just silence? Nobody's there to pick up the pieces for you. If that hits home, stick with me, because we're about to dive into something that'll feel like a lifeline. Today, we're re-exploring an ancient philosophy that's been around for centuries, but feels like it was tailor-made for the chaos of right now. It's called Stoicism. And no, it's not about gritting your teeth through pain or bottling up your emotions. It's about finding a way to be kind, generous, and strong without burning yourself out. Curious? Good. Let's unpack this together, step by step, and trust me, you'll want to hear this all the way through. You know that feeling when you're everyone's go-to person? The one who always says yes to every favor, every late-night call, every, "Can you just help me with this one thing?" It's kind of nice at first, right? You're the hero, the fixer, the one who makes things better. But then it starts to add up. Every yes takes a little piece of you, your time, your energy, maybe even your peace of mind, and before you know it, you're running on empty, wondering why you're so drained. Worse, when you're the one who needs support, you look around, and it's crickets. That S when it hits you. You've been so busy filling everyone else's cup, you forgot to save any for yourself. That's where Stoicism comes in, like a wise friend who's seen it all. This isn't some dusty old philosophy about suffering in silence. Stoicism is about balance, figuring out how to be there for others without losing yourself in the process. It's about learning when to say no, when to put yourself first, and how to give without setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. Sounds like something we could all use, doesn't it? Because let's be real, in today's world, where everyone's always asking for a piece of you, your attention, your time, your heart, it's easy to feel like you're drowning in demands. So, what's the Stoic secret? It starts with a simple idea. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, you won't have anything left to give. Think of it like a garden. If you're so busy tending to everyone else's flowers, your own garden's going to wilt. But if you water your own plants first, make sure they're thriving, you'll have so much more to share. That's what Stoicism teaches. Self-care isn't selfish. It's the foundation for being truly helpful, for showing up as your best self. And here's the kicker. Stoicism doesn't just tell you to look out for yourself and call it a day. It's also about how to give generously, but in a way that's sustainable. It's about giving because it feels right, not because you're expecting a thank you note or a favor in return. It's about setting boundaries that say, "I value my time, and you should too." This philosophy, born in ancient Greece and Rome, is like a roadmap for navigating the messiness of modern life. It's practical, grounded, and honestly, kind of liberating. Imagine living in a way where you're kind without being a doormat, generous without being drained, and strong enough to say no without guilt. That is what Stoicism offers, a way to find balance in a world that is always pulling you in a million directions. So, if you've ever felt like you're giving too much of yourself away, or you're just curious about how to live a little wiser, stick around. We're going to break this down, piece by piece, with stories, insights, and ideas that'll make you rethink how you show up for others, and for yourself. Trust me, this is one journey you don't want to skip. Let's dive in. The trap of being everyone's hero. Picture this. You're the go-to person in your circle. Friends, family, co-workers, they all lean on you. Need a favor? You're there, no questions asked. Need a shoulder to cry on? You've got tissues ready and a listening ear. Need someone to swoop in and fix a crisis? You're already rolling up your sleeves. It feels amazing at first, doesn't it? Being the one who saves the day, who brings calm to the chaos, who makes everything better. You're the hero, the problem solver, the rock everyone counts on. But here's the thing. Every time you say yes to someone else, you're giving away a little piece of yourself. A bit of your time, your energy, your heart. It's like you're handing out slices of a pie, and at first there's plenty to go around. But one day, you reach inside to give more, and there's nothing left. The pie's gone. You're empty. Worse, when you're the one who needs help, when you're the one crumbling, you look around, and it's like a ghost town. Nobody's there. The phone's silent, the inbox is empty, and you're left wondering where everyone went. That's the trap of being everyone's hero. It's a cycle that feels good until it doesn't, and by then, you're so drained you barely recognize yourself. It's not sustainable. You can't keep pouring from a cup that's bone dry no matter how much you want to help. You're not a bottomless well, even if you've convinced yourself you should be. And this is where Stoicism steps in, like a wise old friend with a reality check and a cup of tea. Stoicism isn't about shutting people out or becoming some cold, unfeeling robot. It's not about building walls or turning your back on the people you care about. It's about learning how to be there for others without losing yourself in the process. It's about finding balance, a way to give generously, love deeply, and still have enough left for you. Let's break that down because balance sounds nice, but it's not always easy to find. When you're used to being the yes person, saying no feels like letting someone down. You worry they'll think you're selfish, or worse, that they'll stop coming to you altogether. But Stoicism flips that fear on its head with a simple but powerful idea. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. Think about it like this. You're on a plane, and the oxygen masks drop. What's the first thing they tell you? Put your mask on before helping anyone else. Why? Because if you're passed out from lack of air, you're no good to anybody. Life's the same way. If you're running on empty, you can't show up for your friends, your family, or even yourself the way you want to. So, how do you start filling your own cup? Stoicism suggests small, intentional steps. Maybe it's carving out 15 minutes a day to do something just for you. Reading, walking, or even sitting quietly with your thoughts. Maybe it's pausing before you say yes to think, can I really take this on right now? It's about recognizing that your time and energy are precious, and you get to decide how to spend them. This isn't about becoming stingy with your help. It isn't about making sure you're giving from a place of strength, not scraping the bottom of the barrel. The beauty of this Stoic approach is that it doesn't just help you, it helps everyone around you. When you're grounded, when your cup's full, you can give without resentment. You can listen without feeling drained. You can show up as your best self, not a frazzled version who's secretly counting the minutes until they can collapse. And here's the kicker. By taking care of yourself, you're setting an example. You're showing the people in your life that it's okay to prioritize their own well-being too. It's like planting a seed. Your balance can inspire others to find theirs. So, let's keep going. Stoicism's got more to teach us about how to live generously, set boundaries, and find peace in a world that's always asking for more. Your garden comes first. Let's try a little story to make this clear. Imagine two neighbors, each with a garden out back. The first neighbor wakes up every morning, grabs their watering can, and gets to work. They water their plants, pull the weeds, prune the overgrown bits, and make sure their garden is thriving. It's a sight to behold. Lush green leaves, vibrant flowers, and rows of veggies bursting with color. Tomatoes so red they practically glow. Herbs that smell like a summer day. Because their garden is so healthy, they've got plenty to share. They show up at friends' houses with baskets of ripe tomatoes, drop off fresh basil at the community kitchen, and even slip some zucchini to the neighbor who swears they don't like vegetables. Their garden just keeps giving, and they love spreading that abundance. Now, the second neighbor, they're a different story. They're so busy running around, helping everyone else with their gardens, planting roses for one friend, pruning fruit trees for another, watering someone else's wilting ferns, that their own yard is a disaster. Overgrown with weeds, wilted from neglect, barely clinging to life. They've got nothing to share because they've poured all their energy into everyone else in S space, leaving their own garden to wither. Which neighbor are you? Be honest. If you're the second one, don't beat yourself up. It's so easy to fall into that pattern. You want to help, to be there for the people you care about, and that's a beautiful thing. But here's the Stoic wisdom, straight from a guy named Marcus Aurelius, who was basically a Roman emperor with a philosopher's heart. He said, you can't be useful to anyone if you are not taking care of yourself first. Your well-being is like that garden. It's the foundation for everything else. If it's thriving, you've got so much to give. Your time, your love, your energy. If it's dying, you're just scraping by, handing out whatever scraps you can muster, and eventually you'll have nothing left. You'll be standing in your own overgrown mess, wondering how it got so bad. So, how do we tend to our own garden? It's not about grand gestures or overhauling your life overnight. It starts with small, intentional choices, the kind that add up over time. Maybe it's carving out 10 minutes a day to breathe deeply, journal your thoughts, or just sit quietly with a cup of coffee, letting your mind settle. Maybe it's saying no to that extra favor when you eat already stretched thin, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It's about recognizing that your energy isn't infinite, and you get to decide where it goes. That's not being selfish, it's being smart. It is making sure you've got enough in your tank to keep showing up for the people you care about without running yourself into the ground. Think of it like this. If you were constantly giving away your water to other people's gardens, yours will dry up. But if you take the time to fill your own watering can first, you can share without depleting yourself. Marcus Aurelius would probably nod and say that the key to living well, taking care of your own soul so you can lift others up without breaking. It's not about shutting people out or becoming some lone wolf. It's about balance, about knowing that you're at your best when you're grounded, rested, and whole. And here's the thing, tending to your garden doesn't just help you, it helps everyone around you. When you're strong, you can offer support without resentment. You can listen without feeling drained. You can give from a place of abundance, not obligation. Plus, you're setting an example. When your friends see you prioritizing your well-being, saying no when you need to, taking time for yourself, they might start to do the same. It's like showing them how to care for their own gardens, too. So, start small. Pick one thing today to nurture your own space. Maybe it's a walk, a moment of quiet, or just giving yourself permission to rest. Whatever it is, know this. When you're thriving, you've got so much more to share, and that's when you can truly lift others up. The art of saying no. Now, saying no might sound simple, but let's be real. It's hard, especially when you're used to being the yes person, the one who's always there, no matter what. You don't want to let anyone down, right? The thought of saying no feels like you're dropping the ball, like you're going to disappoint someone, or worse, they'll think you're rude, selfish, or just plain uncaring. Maybe you even worry they'll stop coming to you altogether, and that connection you've built will fray. It's a heavy weight, that fear of letting people down. But here's where Stoicism flips the script and hands you a new way to look at it. A philosopher named Epictetus, one of the big Stoic thinkers, dropped this absolute gem. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Let that sink in for a second. You can't control the requests, the demands, or the guilt trips that come your way, but you've got full power over how you respond. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and for others, is to say no. Let me tell you a quick story to drive this home. I heard about a mom who loved her daughter more than anything. She was the definition of devoted, cooked every meal from scratch, kept her daughter's room spotless, even sat with her through homework well into her teens, making sure every answer was perfect. Sounds like supermom, doesn't it? The kind of parent every kid dreams of. But then tragedy struck, and the mom passed away. And the daughter, she was completely lost. She didn't know how to boil an egg, balance a schedule, or tackle life's everyday challenges. All that love, all that help had unintentionally held her back. By never saying no, by always stepping in to fix everything, the mom hadn't given her daughter the chance to learn, to stumble, to grow. It wasn't her intention to stifle her. She just wanted to protect her. But without those moments of independence, the daughter wasn't ready to stand on her own. That story sticks with me because it shows how even the most well-meaning help can backfire if it is not balanced with boundaries. Stoicism teaches us that saying no isn't about being cold or turning your back on someone. It's about fostering strength, both in yourself and in the people around you. When you set boundaries, you're not just protecting your own energy. You're giving others the space to figure things out, to build their own resilience, to grow into their own power. Like the old saying about teaching someone to fish instead of handing them a fish every day. You're not abandoning them. You're trusting them to find their way, and that's a gift that keeps on giving. Think about it. Every time you say yes when you're stretched thin, you're not just draining yourself, you might be taking away someone else's chance to step up. Maybe your friend could have solved their problem with a little effort, or your coworker could have learned a new skill if you hadn't jumped in. By always being the fixer, you're not just burning out, you're accidentally keeping others from growing. Stoicism, through Epictetus's lens, reminds us that we control our choices. You can choose to say no when a request doesn't align with your capacity, and that choice isn't a rejection. It's an act of clarity. It's you saying, I respect myself enough to know my limits, and I respect you enough to let you handle this. And here's the beautiful part. Setting boundaries doesn't make you less caring. It makes your care more sustainable. When you're not running on fumes, you can show up fully, present, patient, and genuinely engaged. You're not saying no to be mean. You're saying it to preserve your ability to say yes when it really matters. It's like pruning a plant. You cut back a little so it can grow stronger. So next time you're tempted to say yes out of habit, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping them grow, or am I just carrying their load? That small act of reflection, that stoic pause, can change everything, for you and for them. Giving without strings. All right, let's talk about generosity, because Stoicism has a lot to say about how we give, and it's not what you might expect. There's this Stoic philosopher Seneca who was all about doing the right thing just because it's the right thing, not because you were chasing a gold star, a pat on the back, or a favor down the line. He had this beautiful way of putting it. We should give the way we want to receive, cheerfully, quickly, with no hesitation, and definitely no keeping score. Imagine giving someone a gift, maybe a coffee on a rough day or a heartfelt note, just to see their face light up. No hidden agenda, no mental tally of, okay, they owe me one now. Just pure, unfiltered kindness. That's Stoic generosity, and it's like a breath of fresh air in a world that often feels transactional. Here's why this matters. When you give expecting something back, whether it's gratitude, a favor, or even a quick thank you, you're not really giving. You're trading. It's like you've turned your kindness into a business deal, waiting for the invoice to be paid. And, let's be honest, life's way too messy, too wild, too beautiful to be reduced to a series of transactions. Seneca's big point is that true generosity comes from a place of abundance, not necessarily piles of money or stuff, but an abundance of spirit. It's that inner well of goodness, that sense of, I'm giving because it feels right, because it's who I want to be. It's not about what you have, it's about how you choose to share it. Think about the last time you did something kind just for the sake of it. Maybe you let someone cut in line at the grocery store, or you spent an hour listening to a friend vent. No strings attached. Didn't it feel good? Not because you got something out of it, but because the act itself was enough. That's the kind of generosity Seneca's talking about. Giving from the heart, no scoreboard required. It's like planting a seed without worrying whether it'll grow into a tree that shades you later. You plant it because it's the right thing to do, and that's enough. This idea isn't just Stoic. It pops up in other philosophies too, which shows how universal it is. Take Aristotle, the Greek philosopher who was all about living a good life. He believed the real joy in doing good things comes from the act itself, not from what you might get out of it. It's like when you help a friend move, hauling boxes up 3 flights of stairs and you're exhausted, sweating, maybe a little grumpy. But then you see their relief, their gratitude, or even just their smile, and you're grinning too, because you know you made their day easier. That's the kind of joy we're talking about. Pure, untainted by expectations, just the goodness of making a difference, no matter how small. Aristotle called this living virtuously, doing the right thing because it aligns with your values, not because you're fishing for rewards, and it ties right back to Seneca, as Stoic take. Generosity isn't about what you gain. It's about who you are. When you give freely, you're not just helping someone else, you're reshaping yourself into the kind of person you want to be. Someone who's kind, who's open-hearted, who finds joy in lifting others up. It's not about being a saint or having endless resources. It's about choosing to act from a place of inner strength, even when life's tough or your own tank feels low. And here's the kicker. This kind of giving doesn't drain you. It fills you up. When you let go of the need for reciprocation, you're free from disappointment, from that nagging feeling of, they didn't even say thanks. You're not waiting for the world to balance the scales because the act of giving was its own reward. It's like you've tapped into a secret source of energy, one that keeps you going even when life gets heavy. So, next time you have a chance to give, whether it's your time, your attention, or something tangible, try doing it Seneca's way. Give with a smile, no strings attached, and see how it feels to let that generosity flow from your heart.
The freedom of letting go. There's something incredibly freeing about giving without expecting anything back. Think about it. How often do you do something nice, only to feel a little sting when the other person doesn't thank you enough, or worse, doesn't return the favor at all? Maybe you spent hours helping a friend with a project, or you went out of your way to make someone's day better, and all you got was a half-hearted nod. That disappointment can creep in, turning into resentment, and suddenly your kindness feels like a burden. You're left wondering, why did I even bother? But when you let go of those expectations, it's like a massive weight lifts off your shoulders. You're not waiting for the world to pay you back with gratitude or reciprocity. You're just doing what feels right deep in your core, and that's enough. It's like you've unlocked a secret to living lighter, freer, and more at peace. This idea is at the heart of Stoicism, and our Stoic buddy Epictetus, one of the sharpest thinkers of his time, nailed it with another killer line. You can control your actions and intentions, but not the outcomes. Read that again. You control your actions and intentions, but not the outcomes. So when you give, whether it's your time, your energy, or even something tangible, you focus on what's in your power, choosing to be kind, choosing to help, choosing to put a little good into the world. What happens after that? Whether they thank you, ignore you, or pay it forward, that's out of your hands, and that's okay. Embracing this mindset shifts everything. Instead of obsessing over what you re-owed, keeping a mental tally of who has acknowledged your efforts, you start focusing on what you can contribute. It's empowering, like standing tall and saying, I'm here to make the world a little better, and I don't need a receipt to prove it. This isn't just about avoiding disappointment. It's about reclaiming your sense of purpose. When you give without strings, you're not handing over your happiness to someone else's reaction. You're not tying your worth to whether they say the right words or return the favor. You're giving because it aligns with who you are, with the kind of person you want to be. And that feels like freedom, freedom from the cycle of expectation and letdown, freedom to act from a place of strength and authenticity. Carl Jung, a psychologist who spent his life digging deep into the human mind, had a similar vibe. He talked about looking inside yourself to find what really matters, rather than chasing external validation. In a world where we're bombarded with likes, comments, and constant feedback, it's easy to get caught up in what others think of us. But Jung would say that true fulfillment comes from within, from knowing your own values and acting on them, when you give from that inner place without needing applause, recognition, or payback. You're being true to yourself. It's authentic, raw, and real, and that kind of giving, it feels good in a way that lasts, not just for a moment, but in a deep, soul-nourishing way. Imagine what it's like to help someone and not care whether they notice. Maybe you pay for a stranger's coffee, hold the door for someone in a rush, or listen to a friend's problems without expecting them to do the same for you. You're not keeping score, not waiting for a reward. You're just acting from a place of kindness, and that act becomes its own reward. It's like you've tapped into a well of inner peace, one that doesn't dry up when someone forgets to say thanks. Epictetus and Jung would probably high five over this idea. By focusing on what you control, your intentions, and letting go of what you don't, the outcomes, you free yourself to live more fully, more generously, more you. So next time you're about to give, pause for a second, ask yourself, am I doing this to get something back, or because it feels right? If you can lean into the latter, you're living the Stoic way, giving from a place of abundance and authenticity, and trust me, that's a kind of freedom that changes everything.
Boundaries aren't walls. Now, let's circle back to boundaries, because this is where Stoicism really shines in our wild, always-on world. Think about it. Everywhere you turn, someone's reaching for a piece of you. Your phone's buzzing with texts, your inbox is overflowing, your boss needs just one more thing, and your friends are venting about their latest drama. It's relentless. Your time, your attention, your energy, they're being pulled in a million directions, and it's overwhelming. If you're always available, always saying yes to every request, you start to feel like that old reliable car everyone expects to start every morning. Nobody thinks to check the oil, pop the hood, or give it a tune-up. They just assume you'll keep running, no matter what. And when you're taken for granted like that, when your efforts go unnoticed or undervalued, it stings. It's like you're pouring your heart into keeping everyone else's engines running, but nobody's checking on yours. Here's where Stoicism swoops in with a superpower: the ability to set boundaries. This isn't about being standoffish or shutting people out. It is about claiming your right to protect your own peace. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who moonlighted as a Stoic philosopher, would call this an act of self-respect. He had this brilliant line: "It not other people, actions that mess with your peace, it how you judge those actions." Let that sink in. When someone asks for your time or energy, it's not their request that's the problem. It's how you choose to respond. So, when you decide to set a boundary, you're making a deliberate judgment that your well-being matters. You're standing up and saying, "My time and energy are valuable, and I get to choose how to use them." That's not selfishness. That's strength. Seneca, another Stoic heavyweight who was all about keeping it practical, tied this idea to freedom. He said real freedom doesn't come from having endless choices or saying yes to everything. It comes from being the master of yourself. It's about not dancing to everyone else's tune, not letting your schedule or your energy be dictated by the whims of others. When you say no to something that's draining you, whether it's an extra project at work or a favor you done and have the bandwidth for, you're claiming that freedom. You're drawing a line in the sand and saying, "This is my space and I decide what's worth my energy." That's powerful. It's you taking the wheel of your own life instead of being tugged along by everyone else's demands. And then there's Plato, another big thinker who'd probably nod along with this. He was all about living up to your highest ideals, about aligning your actions with the best version of yourself. To Plato, being helpful doesn't mean being available 24/7, like some kind of human vending machine dispensing time and energy on demand. It means helping in a way that's sustainable, that respects your own integrity and well-being. It's about giving from a place of strength, not exhaustion, so your kindness doesn't come with a side of resentment. Here's the thing: boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're more like fences with gates. You decide who comes in, when, and how. You're not locking the world away. You're creating a space where you can thrive. so you can show up as your best self for the people who matter. And when you set those boundaries, something incredible happens. You teach others to respect you. You're not just the person they need in a pinch. You're the person they value. That shift changes everything. People start to see your time and energy as precious, not something they can just take without a second thought. Your no becomes a signal of your worth, and the right people will get it. Setting boundaries doesn't make you less caring. It makes your care more meaningful. When you're not stretched thin, you can give with a full heart, without that nagging feeling of, I'm too tired for this. You're not helping out of obligation or guilt. You're helping because you genuinely want to. It's like you've tuned up that old reliable car, and now it runs smoother, stronger, and ready for the long haul. So, next time you feel that pressure to say yes, take a stoic pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy, or am I just running on autopilot? That moment of reflection could be the key to caring deeply without burning out. The ripple effect of living stoically. Here is the coolest part about all this stoic wisdom. When you start living this way, tending to your own garden, giving without strings, setting boundaries, you don't just change your life. You create a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. People notice. They see you being kind without losing yourself, generous without burning out, grounded without being selfish, and they start to think, maybe I can do that too. It's like you, quietly rewriting the rules of how to show up in the world, and others can't help but take note. Your choices become a kind of gentle invitation, showing there's a better way to live. One that's balanced, authentic, and deeply fulfilling. Imagine you're at work, and you've always been the one who stays late, picking up the slack for everyone else. You're the go-to for last-minute fixes, the one who says yes to every extra task, even when your plate's already overflowing. But one day, you take a deep breath and say, I can't take this on right now. I need to focus on my own projects. You say it politely, firmly, no guilt trips or apologies. At first, people might be surprised, maybe even a little thrown off. That's not like you, they think. But over time, something shifts. They start respecting your time, your space, your priorities. They see you're still helpful, still a team player, but you're not a doormat anymore. You've drawn a line, and it's clear. Your work, your energy, your well-being matter. And here's the magic. Maybe, just maybe, someone else in the office sees you do this and thinks, I could set a boundary too. They start saying no to unreasonable demands, carving out time for their own tasks. And suddenly the whole team's working a little smarter, a little healthier. That's the ripple effect in action, and it started with you. Or think about your friendships. When you give without keeping score, helping a friend because it feels right, not because you're expecting them to owe you, you're building something real. Maybe you drop off a meal when they're stressed, or you listen to them vent for an hour without expecting a thank you or a favor in return. You're not tallying up who's done what. You're just acting from the heart. That kind of generosity, that stoic-style kindness, builds trust. It shows your friend what real connection looks like. No strings, no hidden agendas, just care. And that can spark something in them. They might start paying it forward, helping someone else without expecting a reward, or being a little kinder in their own circle. It's like you've dropped a pebble in a pond, and the ripples spread far beyond your own actions, touching lives you might never even know about. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, those stoic heavyweights, all understood this. They knew inner peace isn't something you just stumble into by accident. It's built through deliberate, thoughtful choices. Choosing to care for yourself, like watering your own garden before tending to others. Choosing to give freely, without a mental ledger tracking who owes you what. Choosing to say no when it matters, not out of spite but out of respect for your own limits. These aren't just random decisions. They're the building blocks of a life well lived. And when you make those choices, you are not just crafting a better version of yourself. You re-showing others it is possible. You're living proof that you can be kind without being a pushover, generous without being drained, strong without being cold. This ripple effect is powerful because it's subtle. You're not preaching or lecturing. You're just living your truth. Maybe a coworker notices you taking a lunch break to recharge instead of working through it, and they start doing the same. Maybe a family member sees you giving without expecting praise, and they rethink their own approach to kindness. Every time you choose balance, you're planting a seed, showing that there's a way to navigate life's demands without losing yourself. And the best part? Those ripples don't stop. They keep spreading, inspiring others to make their own deliberate choices, to find their own peace, to live a little more like the Stoics, wisely, generously, and true to themselves. Stoicism in a nutshell. So, what's the big takeaway from all this Stoic wisdom we've been unpacking? It's not about hiding from the world, retreating into some fortress of solitude, or toughing it out alone like a lone wolf in a storm. Stoicism is about engaging with the world in a smarter, deeper, more intentional way. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can be kind, generous, and fully present without draining yourself dry. It's about building an inner sanctuary, a quiet, unshakable place of peace inside you that lets you show up for others without losing yourself in the process. This isn't just philosophy. It's a practical guide to living well in a world that is constantly pulling you in every direction. Let's break it down. True generosity, Stoic style, isn't about giving until you're an empty husk, running on fumes and resentment. It's about giving from a place of strength, where you are so grounded in your own well-being that you can lift others up without stumbling yourself. Picture yourself as a tree with deep roots. You're steady, nourished, and because of that, you can offer shade, fruit, or shelter to those who need it. That kind of giving is sustainable. It's joyful, and it's real. It's not about how much you give, but how you give it. When you're rooted in your own health, mentally, emotionally, even physically, your generosity becomes a natural extension of who you are, not a sacrifice that leaves you depleted. And boundaries? They're not about pushing people away or building walls to keep the world out. They're about making sure you can keep giving, keep caring, without that slow creep of resentment or exhaustion taking over. Think of boundaries like a garden fence, not to block everyone out, but to protect what's growing inside so it can flourish. They're a way of saying, I value myself enough to set limits, and I value you enough to be honest about them. When you set boundaries, you're ensuring that your kindness comes from a place of authenticity, not obligation. You're preserving your energy so you can show up fully, not as a half version of yourself who's secretly counting the minutes until they can collapse. Living like this takes practice. It's not something you master overnight. It means pausing before you say yes to that next favor, that extra task, that late-night call, and asking yourself, can I do this without stretching myself too thin? Is this something I can give freely, or will it leave me drained? It means giving with an open heart, not a calculator keeping track of who owes you what. It means setting boundaries and trusting that the right people, those who truly care about you, will respect them. And, yeah, it's tough at first. Saying no might feel like you're letting someone down, or giving without expecting a thank you might seem unnatural in a world that's all about tit for tat. But with time, it gets easier. It becomes second nature, like tending to a garden you've learned to love. When you get it right, it's like everything clicks into place. You're not just surviving, slogging through life's demands with gritted teeth. You're thriving, showing up as your best self, with energy to spare and a heart that's full, not fractured. And here's the beautiful part. Your way of living starts to rub off on others. When you give from a place of strength, people feel the difference. When you set boundaries, you show others it's okay to value their own time too. You become a quiet example of what it means to live well, and that inspires those around you to find their own balance, their own peace. Stoicism isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about making deliberate choices every day to care for yourself, to give generously, to protect your peace. And when you do that, you're not just building a better life for yourself, you're helping others see they can do it too. So, take it one step at a time. Pause before you commit, give without keeping score, set a boundary, and see how it feels. Trust that you are not just surviving. You're recreating a life where you and those around you can truly thrive. Your next step. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, diving deep into the world of Stoicism and how it can transform the way you navigate life, ups and downs. I hope you're feeling a little inspired, maybe even a bit excited to try some of this ancient wisdom in your own day-to-day. This isn't just about ideas. It is about practical steps you can take to live with more balance, more peace, and more joy. So, what's next? How do you take all this and actually make it work for you? The answer's simple. Start small. You don't need to overhaul your life or become a Stoic sage overnight. Just pick one tiny thing and give it a try. Maybe today you carve out 10 minutes to tend to your own garden, your inner well-being. That could mean curling up with a book that lights you up, going for a quiet walk to clear your head, or just sitting with your thoughts, letting them settle without judgment. Maybe tomorrow you practice saying no to something small, like an extra errand or a request that doesn't quite fit your bandwidth. Just test it out, see how it feels to put your energy first. Or maybe you lean into a small act of kindness, no strings attached, like buying a coffee for a coworker or sending a thoughtful text to a friend, and notice how it feels to give purely from the heart without expecting a thank you or a favor in return. The beauty of Stoicism is that it's not a rigid, one-size-fits-all rulebook you have to follow to the letter. It's a flexible set of tools, like a toolbox you can dip into whenever you need. You adapt it to your life, your challenges, your dreams. Maybe you're juggling a hectic job, or you're a parent with a million things on your plate, or you're just trying to figure out who you are in a noisy world. Stoicism meets you where you're at, offering ways to stay grounded, to give generously, to set boundaries that protect your peace. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. It's like building a muscle. Each small choice strengthens you. You start saying no without guilt, giving without keeping score, caring for yourself without feeling selfish. Over time, you'll notice the ripples. Better relationships where you feel seen and valued. More peace in your heart, more joy in the little moments that used to pass you by. These ripples don't just stay with you. They spread. When you live with intention, people notice. A friend might see you prioritizing self-care and decide to take a break themselves. A coworker might pick up on your boundary setting and feel empowered to do the same. Your small acts of kindness, done without expectation, might inspire someone else to pay it forward. That's the quiet power of Stoicism. It's not just about you thriving, it's about creating a world where others can thrive too. And it all starts with those tiny, deliberate steps you take today. Before I let you go, I want to say a heartfelt thanks for sticking with me through this. You're not just another viewer clicking through videos. You're someone who's curious, who's ready to dig a little deeper into what it means to live well. That's rare, and it's honestly awesome. You're here because you want to grow, to find balance, to make sense of this messy, beautiful thing called life. And that's something worth celebrating. If you're hungry for more, I've got other videos lined up that dive into living with purpose, finding balance, and all the good stuff that keeps you grounded. Check them out whenever you're ready. They'll be waiting for you. For now, take a deep breath and think about one tiny Stoic step you can take today. Maybe it's a moment of self-care to recharge your soul. Maybe it's setting a boundary, even a small one, to protect your time. Or maybe it's a kind act, no expectations, just to spread a little light. Whatever you choose, know this. You've got this. You're already on the path to growing, shining, and living in a way that's true to you. Keep at it, and I'll catch you in the next one.